America, my name is Osei-Frimpong, and you're watching The Black Athenians, and I come to you every Friday at 4-ish to give you the news. I want to give you the quality of political education that will allow every black community that's not doing so well financially, that is surrounded by a white community that's doing very well, which is pretty much
everywhere.
Okay, that's a lot of places. That's a lot of places to get their politics right so we can get made whole in these United States. That's the goal of the political education I give every week, and I do it with an Athens-based focus, but it'll work anywhere where there are poor black people surrounded by middle class and upper middle class white people, which is a lot of places in these United States. So today we're going to talk about John Henryism. Now, you know that song about John Henry, or maybe you don't. I'll give you a quick rundown. John Henry is a folk song about a guy who used to make holes in the ground with steel. He used to put steel on the ground and then drive it with a hammer and make a hole. And then with that hole, you put in dynamite. And then it allowed you to blow up mountains and then eventually like pave roads. Right? He was a steel driving man. He drove it into the ground to create a hole. He drove it into a rock to create a hole. And then he put dynamite in that hole. And that's how we kind of blast our way to better roads. Right? You got to get the obstructions out of the way. So that's what John Henry did. That was his job. But you know what? They came up with a machine that did that same job. By the way, John Henry's black. He's always been black. That's one thing. No matter what iteration of this story you hear, it's always a Negro who ends up dying at the end. And it's John Henry. All right. So John Henry, they came up with a machine that did his job. And, you know, John Henry, this was his livelihood, doing this job. So John Henry said to himself, I can beat the machine. I don't need a machine taking my job. And you know what John Henry did? He worked and he outworked the machine, and he really did. He outworked the machine, and at the end, once he beat the machine, you know what happened? He had a heart attack and died. John Henry had a heart attack and died, and that's black people. There's a lot going on in that story, and we're gonna transition to what that means for us, because there's a guy named Sherman James, I want to say, or Sherman Johnson. He was a sociologist in the 70s, black guy who started studying Southern black sharecroppers and farm workers who had made good on themselves, and he found out that they were dying young because of the stress of being black. As a sharecropper, you had to do everything like 1.5 times as hard, and everything was just a little bit riskier, and everything was a little bit harder. And so the ones that made it were dying young. And making a lot less money. Everything was just harder. So they tried to work in some man's system, and they wanted to prove themselves to America and everyone around them that they were, as, you know, they could make it in America. And you know what? It cost them an early death. They were dying of heart attacks at 50.
Hold on that. So you mean kind of like we do today?
Yeah, I don't want that though.
Oh, okay.
I don't want that. And as I get closer to 50,
I'm about to say,
yeah, generational, being black shouldn't cost me years of my life, but it turns out it costs decades. So, what's going on in the John Henry story? Yes. Oh, before I tell you what's going on in the John Henry story, Matthew, go ahead and hit the beat.
To the beat, y'all. Yeah. Sound good to me. Never change the ways for the world or the government. If I was the president, then I would state facts. You leave it up to me, I paint the White House black and ain't no future in your front.
And now I'm back. All right, so a lot of you appreciate my haircut, apparently. Well, see, what would happen, I'll tell you the truth now, because I want to tell the truth to my people. There was a bald spot that was getting a little bit too courageous. In the back. So since I give these lessons in self-determination every week, and what it means to actually take control of your life in the right way. So like there was a bald spot that was trying to determine my follicles, and I took issue with that. So I come from a long line, a proud tradition of American black people who took control of their Michael Jordan. Apparently did the same thing. It's either nature's going to take you or you're going to own it. So LeBron James. So I don't have LeBron James money. See, if I had real money, I'd get all my teeth fixed, and then I'd get all my hair right and get the plugs. I guess that's gonna do. But I don't. So like I did the poor man's fix and just shaved it all off. There was a bald spot that was just kind of getting a little aggressive. It's better than a tumor, but still, it started having designs on my forehead. It metastasizing. And so before the bald spot metastasized, I took control of my life. All right, so I think but for the record, I think I got one more good grow in me before like this is just like it forever. I think I got one, maybe two more.
You see I'm growing my hair out.
Yeah.
I was like,
you got a few more in me.
let me see. Let's see if I can get.
I get one more in me. I get one more time. Get one more time. I think I got one more good grow in me before like that's a wrap.
He walked in, and my first thought was, well, this is not going to improve the chances of you not getting in trouble. You're far more intimidating with no hair.
Boo. All right, John Henry. John Henry tried to play the white man's game against the white man's machine, and Farrakhan might even call this a little bit of tricknology, and ended up in a grave. I don't want that for our people. So what we need to do is stop thinking like a slave where we can work ourselves out of this position and start thinking of a citizen and how we negotiate a just transition, right? So if a machine can come and do your job, you don't think, I'm going to outwork the machine. No, that's not how you win in America. You think, how am I going to organize to negotiate a just transition? Because what's at stake is your status as a working person. So there's still other jobs to do. And, I hear tell that there are good jobs that don't involve driving steel. So maybe that wasn't the greatest job to begin with. So when the machine comes, you say, all right, now I expect a job, right? That's because as a member of civil society, you're not free in America if you don't have an income or like an inheritance. You're not free. This is a market-based society. They actually had, I don't know if loitering laws are still in the books on Georgia. You might know, Broderick. Pretty much you have to have money in your pocket to be a person. Loitering?
Yes.
Yeah. Loitering.
Yes.
Loitering is still a thing. And that means if you're walking around without any money in your pocket, like America's got a 2-drink minimum. You can't just be here.
And the drinks ain't reasonably priced.
Yeah, no loitering. Yeah, you can't just walk around without money in your pants. You might as well. That's you're not a really American. And the loitering laws in the South are made mostly for us. So just know that you can't really be free in a market-based society unless you have income. At least. There are a few other things, but income and a job as a productive member of society. Because you also can't be free if you're just passively a consumer, because that means you don't have any stake in production. You can't control what's on the market, and you can't control what price it's for. So you can have a little bit of money, but if you can't control what you're buying or how much it costs, then you're still some man's boy, because they're deciding what you're consuming and how much you're consuming and how much of your check it's taken. So you need some sort of stake in production so that you can shut it down and then negotiate. Like you can produce for the market and the market will produce for you in order to make moves. You can't just be like, a passive consumer and still be free, because you don't have any control in the market. So you need a job in order to exercise control in production. And you need the kind of job that has a say in your workplace so that you can actually shut it down or organize with other people to shut it down if they're not treating you right. So you need a job where you have a say in your workplace. You need a job that gives you a good amount of money, and then it's okay. Then you can be free. And that's fine. A lot of people black people have been slaves and slave adjacent for so long that we've let white people stigmatize work. Not knowing that most of the time, you can go ahead and pass, Broderick. Not knowing that most of the time when they work, they're treated like employees. See, if you're treated like an employee, you got vacation. You can go home. You got disposable income.
You have mental health.
You got mental health days. Like we stigmatize work and say, well, you got to own your own business. No, you don't. 95% of Americans work for somebody else. You just need to be treated like an employee, not like a slave. But we've been slaves so long, or under the thumb of slave adjacent, under the thumb of Jim Crow, that we don't know how to be treated like employees, so we'll just take slave conditions or nothing. And we'll allow people to tell us it's only slave conditions or nothing. And that was John Henry's position. He was going to work himself like a dog, like a slave, or he wasn't allowed to negotiate a just transition. right? That's the goal. And that's your right as a citizen because you need a job in order to be free. And the government's supposed to secure your freedom. So that's why you need something like a federal job guarantee or to negotiate. You need to either negotiate directly with your employer through a union or negotiate as a citizen with the local municipality or state municipality. Or Bernie Sanders is literally running on a federal job guarantee so that you have a standing in civil society. You have a place in production that you can shut down if necessary, and you have a disposable income, right? That's what you negotiate. You don't try to outwork the machine. That's thinking like a slave, not thinking like a citizen. You don't try to outwork the machine. That's thinking like a slave, not thinking like a citizen. There's this picture. Matthew, can you go to my Facebook wall and grab the picture of the cats who are, or maybe I didn't have the picture. Maybe it's on my Twitter. Grab the picture of the folks lining up in Chicago for the medical marijuana license, or for the weed license. All right, so citizens go and secure their freedom from the government, right? Because that's what you need in order to be free. Slaves just think, well, if I just work harder, maybe master will be nice to me. No, master's not nice. That's not how America's set up. Like, working hard doesn't work. It's not like working hard is a little bit of a scam, especially, and this is important because a lot of people will say, like, you can just work hard and keep your head down. Black person, you can just work hard and keep your head down. But really, there's another bit that's being divided, and it's not just a division of labor. It's the division of risk, right? So there's a way that telling yourself if you just work harder, you'll be rewarded is a form of risk avoidance. I don't want to organize a union. Instead, I'll just kind of like just work harder and forego sleep and pray harder, and that'll be it. Did you get the picture? Is that? Yeah. All right. So here's the deal. This is in Chicago. Go ahead and put it up. All right. So this is in Chicago. Who are all these white people? You say these are white people signing up to sign into the lottery to get a marijuana license. Now, having been a brief resident in Chicago's jail, I will tell you that my compadres in the bullpen who were there for drugs, I was not there for drugs, I was there for other political work, but they were not there. They were not white. They were not white.
I'm trying to figure out where the black people are.
No, they're still in jail for marijuana. See, the white people
are getting
licenses.
While we're still in jail.
No, I haven't looked up the capital requirements to get a marijuana license, but I suspect it's more than $1,700.
Oh yeah, in Colorado, I think it was $200,000.
So you just have to show that you have $200,000 in order to get a marijuana license. No. And there aren't even black people in Colorado, but I will tell you that if I go to a Denver jail, I will find some Negroes in there for marijuana. One of my friend's brothers in jail for marijuana for like a long time. I think it was a lot of marijuana. But a long time. So we need to start, if we're just giving white people licenses to sell the stuff, we need to just let all them Negroes go. And honestly, we need a just transition.
Which means purging their records.
Purging their records and a license to
You've got the experience.
Here's
your license. You know what you're doing.
These people know weed. What's up? Hold on. Give him a microphone because nobody can hear you. What's up? What's going on?
Yeah, so in D.C., the medical marijuana, some of the medical marijuana fields are creating youth programs to teach them how to grow medical marijuana. I guess to train them as employees, future employees. Yes.
To
make up for it.
So other great
sharecrop. That's sharecropping. Yes. I feel like that's still not giving them the capital requirements to start their own shop or and then not unionize employees.
Side of it. Well, and so DC has recreational use, but they don't have recreational selling.
I'm confused.
So, not that I know anyone in
So if they find it on you, you're good.
Oh, you can walk by an officer smoking it. I swear I will be in D.C. the
But
first
you
week
can't.
of December.
You can't.
But no one can sell it to you. Now, what they can sell you is a lovely brown bag for $50 that comes with some bonuses on the inside.
We don't talk about the inside, though.
We don't talk about the inside.
We don't talk about the inside. It's a surprise.
Yeah. I literally have a family member who is running a head shop.
A brown bag shop? We
No.
just sell brown bags.
No.
I don't know what's inside.
He's not allowed to sell brown bags out of the shop. I mean, my other cousins may be outside selling brown bags.
That's a complicated relationship.
It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. So
But the guy who owns the shop is a white male who lives out in suburban.
and doing fine.
But yeah.
And doing fine. He's
Yeah.
doing fine. I probably wouldn't send his kids to schools in Prince George's County.
No, and certainly not in Northeast DC.
No. So there's a lot of money being made, and it never finds its way to Black Hand. But the problem is, we still try to play their game. We still think that, well, if you just work hard, and a lot of your respectability politics people will tell you, if you just kind of work hard and keep your nose down, it'll be fine. But that's no way to live. Because
It's a lie.
One, it's a lie. Two, you're not determining your conditions. And three, life only goes to those who risk. So what John Henry should have done is organize with all of the coal miners, or not the coal miners, the steel drivers, to say, all right, I understand, but now we got to talk about a just transition and what a just transition looks like. Else, I don't want to have to blow up your machine. Because look,
It would be horrible if that happened.
that's a nice machine you got there. It would be a shame if something happened to it. So we got to play chicken with these people because so the idea is with capitalism, the capitalist gets paid for the risk they take on for securing your wages. You do the work, they get the money, they get the profit because they've secured your risk. So the game's always fundamentally about risk and not work. So the idea is that, we can't go play possum with our boss because they're in the risk game and they're very good at dealing with risk. What we don't know is that's primordial capitalist logic. Now the bosses have gotten soft. The bosses are soft. You need to call their bluff, black people. Call their bluff. Right? So, because right now the bosses have gotten soft. They've gotten a few generations of outsourcing their risk to the government. We got to have socialism for America, but it only works for veterans and capitalists. Capitalism is only actually for non-employee workers.
And
Yeah.
to give you a great example
Yes.
of this, never talk about your money needs around your boss. Act like you don't need money. You'll be amazed at how much power you suddenly get when they think, oh, he can just go work. He don't need our money. Yeah. I've never let a boss know that I was behind on a bill, but I'm quick to be like, oh, really? Well, I guess I'm going to apply. And it changes the entire dynamic.
You need to play possum with these people. But as an individual, you're kind of at a structural disadvantage. So you need to actually, this is why we are invested, I'm invested in teaching everybody about risk management for employees, because what you need to do is actually teach everyone to risk. And then you don't need to have everyone, you just need enough to shut it down. I was telling people about the ADOS movement. I'm a fan of the ADOS movement. I think they're doing good work. I think black Americans, descendants of slaves, have a special claim. And until they get some sort of restitution, they will never be made whole. And people say, well, how big is the ADOS movement? And I say, big enough, right? Because we got 2 in New York Times articles that came out, and people are talking about it. Right now, there are 40 million black people in the United States. All you need is enough of them to shut something down. Something. America's much more fragile than we think about it. Than we think about.
They hate traffic.
You just need enough to shut it down, whatever the it is. So don't worry about how numbers. You just need enough, and you need enough people who not only know how to work, which is different. You need enough people who are willing to risk. 10 Negroes with nothing to lose is a movement. Willing to risk it all and have a book
Just
and like
call
the
out-
argument.
Call out one shift.
Go ahead.
All of you the same shift.
Oh, that's all it takes. Think about ADOS. Like, I'm one guy. I just have nothing. I understand what risk means. And think about all the trouble I've caused for all sorts of people. Think about it. I'm one guy. But I understand you got to risk it all if you're going to be anything in this world. And you got to risk it all for your people if you want your people to be free. So Yvette, Antonio, like all the ADOS people, it doesn't take too many of them, but they're willing to risk in order for freedom. And that's how you get whole in the United States. If you're not willing to risk, but there's this notion that freedom comes cheap or freedom comes with just work. John Henry thought that freedom comes with just work. Nah, that's a no. It comes with risk. And since we're not in the greatest position, it comes with community risk. But it starts with one person risking. But other people, it comes with understanding what your fair share of risk is. And black people, our risk, we get disproportionately taxed for risk, right? So like we have like a 2X. We do an act and a white guy next to us does an act. They just get regular risk consequences. When we do an act, it's their risk times 2. So we have to have a kind of a stomach up for risk.
Times 2 is a little low. Let's look. Let's compare the incarceration rate.
It's not like X squared.
So it's exponential. Our risk goes up. And white women, it's like 0.5, 0.25. They can do cocaine off a police officer's badge and like make it a ticket.
No, they won't. I hear stories.
They get a
about
warning.
it. I hear stories
While
about it
reaching
from
for his gun.
I've literally been told stories about a local sheriff's wife doing cocaine off another candidate's chest at a party.
Yeah,
and I believe every word of it.
So the risk quote. So I do admit that our ratcheting up of risk happens a little bit faster than most people, but freedom comes with risk, and you got to risk all the way. You got to risk it all, but you don't necessarily have to risk it all. You just have to risk more than the white people are willing to pay,
Which is not a lot.
and they don't know how weak they are. Bring the fight to them, they will fold, people. Maybe not individually, especially if you bring the fight publicly. And I'm not talking about symbolic protest. You got to start shutting stuff down.
Start burning kale fields.
Start burning kale fields. I'm going to get them at their kombucha. I'm going to go to their little microbreweries.
Yeah, like let's remind it, liberals and progressives that they kind of garbage at times too.
Yeah, I'm going to go after their quinoa.
Oh, Jesus.
Take out all their superfoods. Complete proteins.
Vegetarian? No, we cook this in pork.
It is. How do you like me now? Can you hear me now? No, so the idea is that you just need enough to shut down your opponents, to plausibly shut down production and threaten their livelihood or threaten more. I'm telling you to play chicken with white people. That's what I'm telling you to play chicken with white people because they're not made out of the stuff that they think they're made out of. And if you shut them down, and if you do it publicly, you got to do things publicly because there are a lot of unmarked Negro bodies, like graves around. So shut them down.
Oh, they don't put us in graves. We're still sitting in morgues. They're like unidentified.
Unidentified.
Pine box.
Yeah.
Marker. Top.
Yeah. So. That sounds like this. Well, I'm saying you got to take all your risks. You're not going to outwork the machine, not on their terms. Not on their terms. And the only way you get to negotiate the terms is by threatening to shut it down. And the only way to shut it down is to find a way to make yourself useful enough to shut it down or organize with other people because masses of people can shut down anything.
Well,
and that's all. It just has to be that big. But we have to get in the habit of calling bluffs. And that means teaching our children to call bluffs. History is made by the bluff callers. You look at the Declaration of Independence. At the end, they were calling King George's bluff. Like that was it. That was the Declaration of Independence.
Well,
we're taking our country back, or you're going to have to kill us.
Yeah, and we're built for
and we'll
stress.
kill you.
We're built for stress. I mean, they have no idea what to do with stress. I've learned.
They'll freak out. They're fragile flowers, these white people.
Yeah.
And they don't know how fragile they are. So you just shut them down. Shut down production. Make it impossible. Just know that with the operation of the machine will not function until we're treated like people and not just merely like workers. And that's the power of a citizen. That's going after these issues like a citizen does, not like not like a good worker does, good slave does. A citizen knows that when the machines come, you say, all right, so how are we organized to make sure that me and all of my people are going to continue to have the same status and made whole as if I were a steel driver, right? And that's when you find jobs being made for you, right? Like I said, Bernie's running on a federal job guarantee. Black people are still under the notion that the same private labor market that was comfortable having us as slaves will somehow now treat us like employees. That has never been the case. That the private labor market has never been a home for black people. The only place there's actually concentrated black money is in D.C. You know what else is D.C.? Government jobs.
No. Not in D.C. anymore.
Or like outside
in PG County.
PG County.
D.C. is no longer chocolate city.
Right.
It is, white chocolate, which doesn't have cocoa.
No. Yeah, I was about to say, well, look, and the jobs in D.C., when they were in D.C., a lot of those jobs were created by Marion Barry. A lot of that money still exists.
Yes.
Because that money also went to like making kids like more robust, and those kids are doing well now. So we have
One of the best youth job programs in the country came from Marion Barry. Like, you knew if you were a teenager and applied, you were going to be working at the National Zoo.
That's a fine job.
That's
a good, dignified job.
Yeah. Like, I'm not even going to lie. Like, many of my family and cousins started there and learned everything they know. And there's a reason why all of them work for the federal government.
Yes. And have a good job. See? So, and they need that to be free. We need to understand that an enabling condition of freedom is a productive place in market society. So if you're talking about freedom, I'm going to need you to secure me a productive place in market society and a say in my working condition. Now, since we're black, I also am going to want some land and some board seats on some Fortune 500 companies. I know that a lot of those Fortune 500 companies wouldn't be where they were without our labor. So I'm going to need a lot of things. But we could start with a federal job guarantee. The government as the employer of last resort. And that's just a condition of freedom. And there's a lot of work. People say, well, the machines are doing all the work. No, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. There's a lot of work that needs to be done that only wealthy people can do, like wellness check for baby boomers. Let me tell you about baby boomers. Baby boomers are going to be dying all over the United States, and nobody's going to know for weeks. Their bills will be on auto pay, and their children are going to be out in California or somewhere else. Nobody's going to know for weeks because nobody does wellness checks. And but wealthy baby boomers, okay, so and a few black ones and lots of white ones, they can afford good elder care. Now, if you pay, I could employ an entire town to do elder care for people over 70 who need it. Right? And that's just wellness checks and playing some games with them, cognitive checks, maybe reading to them, driving them around places. Good. Pay me $22 an hour to do that. That's a good job that needs to be done. That is disproportionately done for white elders, but doesn't happen for black ones because we don't care about black people's dignity. Right? So lots of jobs. I could list the federal jobs that don't get done because the private market doesn't actually support it for stigmatized communities, but the private market does do it for white communities. Yeah.
So, as I've been kind of reading things, I realize that people don't understand the concept and benefit of the federal job guarantee.
Yeah, a federal job guarantee means, as a matter of right, as a citizen, anybody who wants a job can have it. Because right now, there's some states where you got welfare is tied to finding work in the private market. That's bull. That's bull. Because you have then you put the most vulnerable people in the place to get the most vulnerable job, and then their kid gets sick, and then they get fired from the job, and they lose their welfare. No, none of that. None of the private market for vulnerable people is garbage. Now, as a matter of right, every person over 18 will find a job for you, starting at $20 an hour. For me, it's $20 an hour. I'd like 22 actually, but Bernie Sanders is running on it for $15 an hour. It's kind of akin to the WPA. And this wouldn't just be like jobs digging trenches and doing deferred maintenance, although there's 100 years of deferred maintenance to be done in the South between ripping pipes and sewer stuff and all. There's at least 100 years of deferred
I think
maintenance.
we could get 2-3 generations. out of that.
Deferred, just getting everything up to code.
Yeah.
Like if you've driven around the rural South.
Let's just talk about locally. We still ain't fixed the water drainage problem that we promised when we unified our government.
And that was
We
in
would do
92.
That was in 92. We ain't even touched that.
Yeah. So there's a way in which the work we need done is just the work that's done in all the suburbs where they have money, but we don't in a market society we can't pay the $12,000 to fix the septic system, so it's just we have deferred maintenance in our community that needs to be done. So that would be one of the federal jobs. If it were up to me, I think every baby boomer, every person over 70, as soon as you hit 70, you get a 3-person video crew to come and tell you your story and record your story as a matter of right, as American. And they come to your house and they come back 3 times, so you get an hour each time over the course of like a month. If you hit 70, they knock on your door, say, all right, we're here for you to tell us your side, and then you get an hour with the camera, and then they upload it and they put it in the Library of Congress as our cultural archive.
Okay,
Every single one. Every single one.
I was looking at you very funny because I'm like, why would I want to hear boomers for 3 hours?
No. It's an archive. You put it in
okay.
You put it in the Library of Congress, and that's your legacy. You get to hear your side. When it's you and the microphone and someone doing sound and someone doing video, and that's just it. They play it at your funeral, maybe. It could be a lovely thing. Plus, it's our archive, and that's the one time you get to be free. That'll be played after you're dead, or maybe when you're still alive, but your boss isn't watching. We'll actually hear how free Negroes talk, and then put it in the Library of Congress. And I think that's like as a cultural artifact, that would be good for our nation.
I would actually appreciate that in the African American Museum.
I think
that
would actually be wonderful.
Yeah, I would sit through that.
That would sit through
like
that.
sitting through.
You get 3 hours. That's it. Tell your side. Your side. All right. And I think we learn a lot of things. Because right now, we just get white people's side. Because they're the ones who write all the autobiographies and then get them distributed and make movies. So I want all the I want their nurses and their nannies and their domestic workers. I want their side of what was their life like. And I think that would be a fantastic cultural archive that should be sustained and give us a more accurate picture of America.
But unlike Harriet, who did write her own autobiography, I'm gonna need someone to stick to that story.
Yeah, and I want to give source material for anyone who tries to reinterpret my words.
Oh yeah, because let me tell you, your story is gonna be drastically different.
This is my legacy. So yeah, I don't have to give my kids much. Yeah. I'm gonna.
Who didn't have a single problem with the system.
I'm not. He didn't have he preached reconciliation. He preached reconciliation. No, shut it down. That's the only way this works. That's the only way you have negotiating power. You have to show them that you could shut down their operation, and then they'll tell you that they're not going to bluff and play chicken. But my experience with white people in public, they play chicken. I mean, they. You don't win all the time, but man, if it's in public,
48 hours of no profit is a hard life.
It's a hard life, and especially if it's over a reasonable thing.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, they
vocal.
do. Ask Kaepernick. Sometimes you have to wait it out, but if you do it in public, I think black people, they won't blink all the time, but more than you think, because they're not used to the risk that they think they're used to. And they have bills too. And they have esteem that they want to keep in the community. They don't want to be seen as racist. That's the thing about why white people are upset at Trump, or why a lot of white people are at Trump. He's too loud about his racism.
He's public.
He's public about it.
He didn't wait till they get back having cigars to talk about us.
That's screwing up a lot of white liberals' game. So yeah. Yes, he is. And be that auntie.
Be that auntie that just says what she wants to say to people at the cookout, except do it at work.
Do it at work. But you have to organize with others. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's part of the risk, too.
y'all.
You got to deal with other people. A lot of deal with, but they'd rather just work hard by themselves and let the other,
And if you are not aware, like, I won't lie,
Yeah.
I was watching the Byron Allen stuff kind of at a distance.
Yeah.
I did not understand, and
He was locked out.
I'm not a fan of the Breakfast Club, but watch the Breakfast Club interview with him.
Is it that he laid down?
He lays it out, and all of a sudden I was like, "Oh shit!" Oh,
Yeah, he was locked out. Byron Allen was locked out. He's got, he's got $400 million. You can't buy your way into some things, right? Like he just wanted, was it Charter and Comcast to carry his stations?
Yeah.
And he was locked out. They're like, no.
And what they want to make it is that you have to prove that the whole reason that they're locking you out is you're black, not that it's part of the reason.
It's going to be part of every reason.
Yeah, like
It's part of every
we
reason.
should be allowed to be a little racist.
Yeah, I just like, no, maybe they would have let in, I don't know, some black Republican. But no, I'm a little bit too black. And just a little bit too black. If I were a little less black, they would let me in.
By the way, we have occasionally made the mistake of saying that Jay-Z got some NFL ownership. No, he didn't. He didn't even get ownership. He still only owns that part of that basketball team.
I thought he sold.
No, he didn't sell us out for that. I mean,
He didn't get ownership yet?
No ownership whatsoever.
Man, he might have gotten hustled.
I feel like Jay-Z got played.
Because I don't think he did it just for another job. Or just another.
I mean, Bay making plenty of money.
Well, no. I mean, now he organizes all of their Super Bowl halftime stuff.
Yeah, he's doing their
He's doing
halftime
that.
stuff, which his own people may have been saying, "No, that's all good. That's you."
Yeah, I think, but I thought.
And now he
That was
sounds
all
like
an
Bill
end
Cosby
game.
blaming young black men for arguing.
Yeah, I thought the deal was that they were going to give him a cut of
No.
the real team.
No, he's got no team.
All right. Anyway, thank you for your time. John Henryism. There's a lot going on with that story. One thing, John Henry shouldn't have tried to beat a machine. They don't have to sleep. They don't have kids to feed. They're not reading to their kids. You don't try to beat the machine. You need to act like a citizen and organize for a just transition so that you could be made whole in another job. And that goes for all coal workers right now. That goes for lots of black people. And don't let people tell you just need to hustle harder. You will hustle harder into a grave. You need to show other people that you will shut them down unless you're being made whole, unless you're being dealt with justly. And with that, usually takes organizing with other people of your same class in order to shut down the boss or threaten to shut them down. Play chicken with these people.
And even if you succeed in the hustle, you still got to deal with white people. And the studies show that that causes hypertension, heart attacks, diabetes, the whole mess of it. So
According to my therapist, just living as a black man can produce PTSD. So, I mean, I was like, no, that's just being black. She's like, uh-huh. I'm like, no, it's just being black. She's like, uh-huh. I'm like, why are you? She's like, oh, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
that's...
you got it.
You got it. So we have to be made whole because this can't be the life of our kids and our grandkids. In order to be made whole, we need to risk and not just try to work our way into American dignity. We need to show them that we can shut it down. And they will negotiate. Not all the time, but if you do it publicly, black people, you're just going to have to trust me on this. They're not up to that kind of fight. They're not up to that kind of fight. We just have to call their bluff. And with that, I am going to let you go. Yeah, what's up? Oh, yeah, by the way, if you like anything I say, first of all, tweet it out to all your friends. I'm trying to give the quality of political education that will make us whole. Tweet it out to all your friends. Put it on your Facebook, on your Insta. I don't have an Insta, but a lot of people do. Tell all your friends, tell your people, and tell all your people everywhere. Watch this at your church group or your book club, because I think Jesus would want that. And not a lot of you have read the book anyway. So just watch this instead and then talk about it. And also, if you really appreciate what I'm doing, or if you just kind of appreciate what I'm doing, I need you to go to www.thefunkyacademic.com. I got to pay rent. every month, and I got to pay Matthew, and I kind of want to, get some new equipment and stuff, and kick down for $5, $15, or $50 a month, because I try to give you the quality of political education that you need. And knowing that I do it this way, let's be honest, I've made myself darn near unemployable. So I'm counting on you to help me help you.
Darn near unemployable. I love that you think that it's only darn near.
All right. Take care now, and I'll see you maybe not next week, because next week Thanksgiving or the week after? The week after. I'll see you next week. All right. Peace.